Welcome to Melanated and Spiritually Woke. I'm your host, Adorable Earth Angel. I'm a holistic wellness educator of 12 years with a master's in public health, energy healing of 7 years, and have been a Black female spiritual alchemist my whole life. Each week, we'll be sharing uplifting, spiritually focused wellness practices to best support you in regaining your personal power, or we'll have special guest interviews with the same intention. This show is in service to all those listening, and especially for folks of color who are seeking information to support their physical, mental, and emotional spiritual awakening. These practices will help you live your best life. Welcome back to the show. I'm so grateful to be in a place where I can share healing tools for my community. It has been such a big dream of mine to have a platform to share information that's important and relevant, especially in these times. In times where we can see a reality that may at times feel limiting and may at times reflect a world that actually feels very challenging and dark and uncomfortable. And there's a truth within that discomfort that is undeniable. It's undeniable that there's a lot of suffering, and this show is really dedicated to creating space for being seen and acknowledging the specialness and uniqueness of melanated people. And with that specialness, with that clarity around the specialness, hopefully ushering in the opportunity for more light in our lives and for more light around the planet. Because as we live our lives from a place of having light, as we live our lives from a place of being in our power, we're able to actually lift the frequency and the vibration. We talk a lot on the show about frequency, a lot about vibration. We do so because in understanding ourselves, we have to understand that frequency and energy and vibration are all the same thing. They're all synonymous for life force, and which we are. That, down at a molecular level, we are just energy. Everything is energy. And kind of what's comprised in our energy, what's comprised in our vibration and our frequency, that changes. That changes over time. And you may have noticed in your life that you're changing, that the things that were once fulfilling, the things that you felt like you had to strive for, that there's a different set of priorities. There's a different set of choices that want to be made. And so today's topic is going to be about this thing around choice. And it's going to be this thing around choosing to kind of be in this greater expression, this greater sense of courage, and this, and kind of choosing also the choice of how you want to view your life, the choice of what type of perspective you want to have, because that's the energies of this week. One of the signature pieces of this week is that we have the Leo full moon. And something that I lovingly know about Leo energy is it likes to have the energy of choosing what it wants to be. The energy of being a leader, the energy of making choices and decisions. And doing so from a place of recognizing that unless there's someone who can make a choice, who can change their lives, that they'll be stuck in a pattern of discomfort. And that can be really challenging to navigate when there's so many things that try to show you that you don't have choice. There's so many things that would show us that we don't have agency, that we don't have the ability to make choices, that we're actually stuck at this job or stuck with this income or stuck with a lack of resources and friendships, that we're stuck in our addictions, that we can't break away from things that feel like they bind us, that we're stuck in our depression or stuck in our anxiety, that there's no light. And the real focus of coming into choice is coming into understanding this feeling and this necessity to care about yourself, to care about who you are at your core, and to choose yourself every single day, to choose being in your body every single day. Last week I shared on the show something that my meditation teacher talked about, which is if you want to change your future, you have to change your present. And in order to change that present energy, it's so important to recognize that we have to care about ourselves, and that no one is going to make sure that we have our needs met. No one can do that. And those are the energies of this week. Like, in order to kind of have those needs met, in order to have those expressions fulfilled, those choices selected, in order to have empowerment in the body, which is so necessary and so key right now, is to have these peak moments in your life where you feel fulfillment, where you feel expression, where you feel pleasure. You know, that could be such a taboo and tricky word, you know, to say the word pleasure, where you can have pleasure in your life, where you can have joy and ease and the ability to have expression of your creative flow, of your creativity, of your inner child, of this inner joy. Because without letting that energy come out, without letting this expression come out, your own unique expression, then there's this inner sense of sorrow, of sadness, and despair. And so those are the themes that can be emerging this week. It's like the full moon in Leo is saying, like, it's illuminating where is it that you are in a place of creativity, where you are in a place of really focusing on your craft, where you're focusing on something that contributes your own unique perspective, your own unique reflection, your own unique artistic flair. And it doesn't have to be like you're an actual full-blooded artist, but there's something around being in a space of acceptance for yourself is what I'm hearing Spirit talk about. And in accepting yourself and accepting your needs and accepting who you are, there's choice. And with those choices, there's you choosing to express yourself fully, as opposed to the choice of kind of like this I'm getting the sense of just like this loop, this cycle of feeling like you have to be this one thing, but that you want to be this other thing. And in order to actually do what you want to do, you have to be this other thing. Meaning, like, in order for me to actually change my life, for me to have agency and in a sense of having a different way of living, I have to become this other thing. Which, you know, is that really true? You know, there's this like, do you really have to assimilate, or do you have to operate from a place of not having any choice around your life and around what you're here to express? And the answer is you can be who you are and express what you need to be. There's no need to be anyone else or anything else but you. And that's the energy of Leo. It's about this creative, unique being who has something coming forth. And what I would say about this too is the number one thing besides nourishment that's coming up this week is really tapping into heart medicine. And so we're going to be talking about heart medicine as well as choice. And that this week is asking for choice. It's asking for heart medicine. And what is heart medicine? Well, the heart is definitely an organ, but the heart is also an energy center in our body. And the heart is the most potent and the most powerful energy that we have in our possession. Some people think our brain and our mind are like that's it. That's the most important thing that we got going for us. And I don't underestimate the brain or the mind, but the brain and the mind are mostly the cause for all of the suffering that we see on the planet. People operating from their brain, operating from their logic, operating from Western thinking, operating from thoughts that are grounded in oppression and that are grounded in deep conditioning, thoughts in the mind and the brain. It's very masculine, and it's in its shadowy side. We've seen the manifestations of what happened when we kind of stick to our brain. And that's the thing about melanated people, is that naturally we are actually heart-centered people. People of color, we are heart-centered. We're centered and we're dropped into our heart chakra. And so chakra is this energy center in our body. It's a spinning wheel, and most people can't see chakras. Most people can't see auras, which are basically the electromagnetic field around our body. Most people can't see that. Some people are gifted and they can see those things, and some people can actually see chakras as well. And so with that, with knowing kind of what chakras are, and some people listening have heard this term before, chakra. The heart center is the most potent chakra that we possess, because it is like it's the center of what produces love in our body. It is the expression and the production of love as we know it. And when we drop into our heart space and we view the world and we breathe through our heart space, we're actually able to connect with that Leo energy, because Leo is the energy of the heart. It's the energy of courage. The archetype from The Wizard of Oz, the cowardly lion. And, it was in reference to this. Actually, the understanding is that the lion energy, the heart energy, that archetype is all about courage. It's about finding the courage to choose to express yourself and to choose to define what that expression is. And so a tool for those of you who may be in a space where you feel stuck, where you're kind of like wanting to be in a place where you're like, well, like a space where it feels like people might be in this week contemplating too much in their mind, or they're thinking too much about how something needs to be in order to do it, instead of just doing it and expressing it and letting life just show you, and offer you opportunities for growth. It's kind of more so like stuck in the head, as what I'm hearing, when what really needs to happen is that we need to drop into our heart. Now, the thing about dropping into the heart that can feel challenging sometimes is that when we drop into the heart, what I'm getting the sense of too, if some of you out there are curious about the heart medicine that I'm talking about on the show, and we're going to do some heart medicine together. And it's everything I do on the show, I really try to keep it accessible and easy. So you don't have to be super spiritual to try anything out. I invite you to have an open mind and an open heart, because that's what we're working with today, is our heart. You see what I did there? But we're working with this archetype of heart. And then for some people, as I bring that up, a large part of why people don't live in the heart is sometimes people within their heart also feel the energy of it being broken. And also our heart being really protected and having a lot of layers to it and being really shielded. And when we have a heart that's shielded and broken, it constricts. And it constricts the energy of that chakra, which means that, and the expression of that means that we have less compassion for ourselves, for our needs, for comforting ourselves, giving us the right food, giving us the right nourishment. We have a constriction of that self-love. And then, of course, if we're not flowing love into ourselves, then we can't flow love into other people. And so it's actually really important for us to actually do a lot of heart medicine and to focus on building up that muscle of expressing our emotions, of releasing through tears, of letting things flow and letting things go. And as we do so, what we find is that yes, life will break our hearts. Life has broken your heart probably more times than you can count. I could feel that. I feel that right now. I feel that a lot of people have had their heart broken, especially in the past decade. And now we're in 2020 and there's this glimmer of hope, but there's also kind of like, I don't know if I want to trust in this. I don't want to know if I want to trust that things are getting better. I don't know if I can really believe that things are going to be good, and within that, what I'm getting the sense of is like when you don't feel like you can trust, when you don't feel like you can open your heart, you kind of hold your cards close to your chest, right? Which is like, covering your heart and saying, no, I'm not going to let anything in, because what if my heart just gets broken again? And what I found on this spiritual path is that a part of what you're here to experience is unconditional love. And so what could be seemingly kind of a negative thing, one's heart being broken, can also be a gift in you, allowing you to not have a condition for love, for not needing someone or something or some event to turn out a certain way in order for you to still show up in love and in service and in the fullness of your expression. That you're not going to need validation from others, that you're not going to need to see a certain result in order to be that creative person, in order to give your unique gift, your unique expression. That you can, if you so choose to, share fully with us. Share with us. Show us who you are. Show us what you have inside. Show us that deep expression that only you can do. What is it? And so some of you out there are like, your hearts are opening. I feel that. And when your heart is opening because there's a little bit of tingling in the heart. And so if it feels good, go ahead and just put your hand on your heart and just take a couple of breaths. And I just invite you to imagine that in your palm that you're sending light to your heart. And that your heart is opening, and the color of the light in your heart is green. Green is the color of this chakra. Sometimes it's also pink, is another color people refer to when they think of the heart medicine. But green is it's actually the color of love. Not many people know that, which is interesting because green is also the color of money. So there's always an association, right, with love and money. Money is just the energy of value. So that's why there's such a big association with money and love. And that's a whole nother show. But all this is to say, so as you sit with this energy, go ahead and just feel your hand on your heart. Just go ahead and sit up straight, have a straight spine, take some breaths. And close your eyes. And just sit with this energy for a moment of what it would mean. And go ahead and put your hand down. And just focus on where your hand was. And so you're going to imagine that you're not, and if you're driving or whatever and you're in a different place, of course, please keep your eyes open. You can do this with your eyes open. But if you can close your eyes, if you could stop folding your clothes or doing your work or whatever you're doing, if you could just be with me, be with this process. This medicine is for you. And you're listening to this show because there's an inkling that there's something here for you. And this is what's here. And so just being present, there may be other things you have to do. And this is going to take literally a minute. And so just go ahead and allow your thoughts to drop down into your heart. Let your breath go down into your heart. And what you're going to do is you're going to imagine that you're breathing in through your heart. And you're breathing out through your heart. And that's simple. You're just breathing in through your heart. And breathing out through your heart. Let's do one more. Breathing in. And breathing out. And so the sensation that I feel in my body when I do this right now, when I just did it with you and when I do the heart breathing, is I actually feel a relief in my shoulders. I feel like a release out of my body. Like I feel energy kind of falling off. I feel like shields. I feel like any type of guard that I have starting to melt. And I feel like I'm just dropping into a space. And what you might notice is, if you're still doing it, or if you will ever do this practice a little bit longer, you actually you feel your heart chakra opening. And you can feel this kind of sensation of just an opening energy flowing right where your heart is. And when I do this practice, I like to imagine as I'm breathing in that I'm breathing in green light into my heart. You can use pink light. You can work with gold. It doesn't really matter. Use your intuition. But that practice, that tool is so important. And when thinking about your creative expression, when thinking about this choice that's being made this week, this choice to be in authenticity and alignment with your heart and the condition of your heart, and to care about your heart. And what you might find as you do heart breath is there might be sadness, and that's completely normal and fine. You might find that as you do it, you feel nothing, or you might find that you feel bliss. There's no right or wrong answer, and we're all at different places on our spiritual journey. And so none of the things that I'm sharing has to look what I described in my experience to be, doesn't have to be yours. But these are tools, and this is what this show provides, and simple tools that anybody can do. And so I just invite you, if it feels good, to think about this tool in the context of your practical everyday life. And so what that would mean is taking the time. That would mean taking the time to do this tool when you wake up in the morning and you're lying in bed. So the first thing that you could do is sit there, and you can put your hand on your heart just to kind of bring your awareness to your heart. Then once you take your hand off of your heart, you could then just begin to, again, breathe in through the heart and breathe out. And just to see what happens just by expanding your capacity. And it's like it's exercising for your heart. It's allowing energy to come into your heart and breathe out of your heart. And in doing so, it's expanding your heart's capacity for a greater sense of love and kindness. And what that does is that feeds you, that feeds a sense of self-love and actions that are connected to the heart. You then begin to nourish yourself in those ways. And by feeding your heart, by bringing more light into your heart, it also can surface sadness. So, I mean, there is a risk with connecting with the heart. But here's the thing. At the end of that sadness, at the end of kind of clearing out that energy, there's the opportunity to kind of be in a place of moving through something. And this week may really hold you there. It might be that this message is coming up because that sorrow is going to be there regardless. And for some of you, I'm sensing that there might be some sense of sadness that again of being stuck. And the stuckness is that there's an acknowledgement that your body is wanting you to see about your life. And I say that because it feels like it's going to be a very physical thing, meaning that you might have a feeling or emotion, but it's going to be related not to the mind, not to the thoughts, but to kind of dropping into you and dropping into how you can release and how you can grow and how you can raise your frequency. And so when we do spiritual practices, we raise our frequency, and everything that is stuck, any trauma, it inevitably, my bad. All the traumas inevitably come up, and they surface to be cleared, to be transmuted, to be healed. And in doing so, when we take the time to heal, when we take the time to transmute, when we take the time to have a different relationship with our heart, we can then actually express ourselves authentically and not be worried about how things will look, how things will come across, and kind of, yeah, the just the energy of feeling small, that we have the capacity and the ability to be bigger, to be in this courage of expression, and to be able to do it on behalf of gifting others and showing others our heart and being compassionate and giving and generous. Because that's another expression of Leo, is generosity. And so the full moon is going to be shining light on the spaces within us that feel generous, that feel abundant, that feel like ready to express and communicate, that feel ready to play. And within that, maybe there might be, for some people, a sadness around maybe a loss of that, a loss of innocence, a loss of expression and creativity. And the best, the best broth, the best healing broth for that sadness is that heart breath, is to just drop into the heart and to breathe into the heart and to really flex and do those exercises to expand. Spirituality is just like exercising, just like a diet. You have to do it every day in order to see results. And what I've seen on my spiritual journey, definitely, I've been through my dark times. Of course, I would not be doing this show if I had not been through dark times. And you shouldn't listen to anybody talk about spirituality unless they've been through the real. And I've been through it, and a lot of people have been through it who look like me. I'm a Black woman, and I'm resilient, and we as a people are resilient. And the thing that has made me stronger has been this resounding yes for all things that raise my frequency. And in doing so, I've had to come across and feel the sorrow of my ancestors, to feel the lack of their expression, the lack of their creativity being able to come forth, because there was just the energy of surviving. And so there is that warning, that caution, that is something that we oftentimes can kind of come into, is kind of recognizing the times where we haven't had opportunities to express because our ancestors didn't have the opportunity to express. Our ancestors didn't have the opportunity to have choice. So why should I have choice? And it's like, well, that's not the way. That's not the way, right? It's not the way of thinking about life. Like, yes, our ancestors did not have choice, and we do. And they climbed a mountain so that we could go tell it, so that we could go on the mountain and express and yell and scream as loud as possible our truth. And that looks different for everyone listening. But it is about your expression, and it's about you expressing it from your heart and having the courage to do so, and being willing to be brave, and being willing to be a leader, and being willing to be charismatic and whatever it is that you're here to do and be. Because there's an infiniteness in life. And that if it's not going to happen in this lifetime, it's just going to be another chapter that needs to be completed. Because there's always this infinite need to create the universe. It's another teacher that I connect with that talks about that. It talks about how we are expanding the universe through all of our different and unique experiences. That we are the universe in expansion every time we say yes to our creativity. Every time we say yes to pushing the boundaries. Every time that we do something and then we're like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing I'm creating? What's the next thing I'm creating? And that's the beautiful thing about being human, is that we have the ability to create. The other types of species, they definitely create things. They build dams, and they build nests, they build a nest, or they create, animals create all sorts of things that are just miraculous and beautiful. And so as humans, there is this opportunity for us to find in this week to be in that spirit of what it means to be natural like an animal, to be natural like a lion, which is the archetype of Leo again, And so within this new moon, you're invited to be in this frequency of connecting with this cosmic expression of who you're here to be, and helping everybody to expand the definition of this universe, because we need an expanded definition. The current definition that we're working with is not working. And we as individuals have to be willing to be bold and brave and be seen. And in order to do so, our hearts need to be mended, not broken. And so just to kind of summarize the message for this week, the heart breath, please come back to the heart breath. Please come back to yourself, nourishing yourself, preparing yourself for this expression. For some of you, preparing yourself to maybe meet some sorrow when dropping into the heart and feeling any feelings you may be needing to feel. You're invited to breathe, to be with those feelings, and to be okay with discomfort, to not have to move or navigate away from it, or to numb through different sources and substances, to just kind of be with what is, and to let it come and to let it surface, and to be drop into the heart, and to be okay with your process, and to be gentle all at the same time, all of those things at once. I want to thank you for your presence. Thank you for dropping in. It's always a pleasure being in community with you, and just knowing that you're listening and you're connecting with this message. And hopefully, if it feels like it resonates, just share the show with a friend, just a friend who might want to be a part of what we're doing. At kcbzradio.com, we are doing a lot of programming and content for the people. And there's other beautiful shows that you can check out just to see what's what, and to kind of have there's just a varying spectrum of opinions and content that we're producing for you. And so I just invite you also to stay connected with me. I'm on social media, Adorable Earth Angel on Instagram, and my website is adorableenergy.com. Please feel free to reach out to me. On my website, I have a free energy healing sequence. If you'd like to hang out with me for 15 minutes in the morning and do some clearing work, I'm here with you. Please go to my website and download that energy healing sequence. Until next time, I'm sending you so much love and light, and I hope that this week again allows you to have choice in that expression and that creativity. Hope you have a beautiful full moon in Leo. Take care.